because this whole thing with the ascension, and you have to, it's your consciousness has to wake up. You have to realize, you have to prioritize, you have to realize what's important. You have to realize you're bigger, and part of that awakening is seeing through the illusion, questioning things, to kind of be sparked, like, well, this isn't right. Why are they saying this? And, it's hard to watch people in your own life to not have that happen, to just keep going along with all of this horrible, horrible stuff, especially when like, this is not something they would ever, ever agree to. And to just see these people so entrapped in this illusion, it's very, very difficult, especially when we're down to the wire like we are. I mean, the event, the big event, the main, whatever I keep thinking Siddhartha, but I don't remember that it's called that, but it's something like that when you go back to like the Sumerian text and stuff. But this, solar event, this big cosmic event that's going to happen, we're getting really close. And, I don't know, like, what's going to happen. And I talk about this so much. And I know I just got to relax and trust. I mean, that's the stuff I talk about. And to just realize, if my kids don't wake up, then that was always part of the plan. There's nothing I can do. And, I've been trying desperately for like 6 years to get them to question stuff and to see things differently. And I can't, can't get them to budge. So, the thing that I thought was really cool that he was talking about was this Zoroastrian. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it is this like really ancient kind of religion, like the beginning. And he was saying that some of the stuff that has to do with it, he feels like it is probably religion that was given to us by the aliens, and they even the Sanskrit or something, the kind of their communication and writing. I don't know if it's like alphabets, if it's like symbols or what it is, but that he thinks that was their communication from another existence, or another galaxy, or whatever. We already know that the alien, we're experiment, that the aliens were part of their experiment, so that they are and all of this religion and all of this stuff is like, there's been people who have come throughout time that have tried to enlighten human beings, to give them guidance and stuff, and the information was always manipulated, that humans weren't quite ready, and it became a tool of worship, and it became very manipulated religion, and so, and very divisive. And but if this, and so in the beginning of the whole thing, like if you go back to Atlantis things, if you go back to initiation, and I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, and about the 13 families, about the 13 ancient, that there was certain alien I don't know, religious philosophers, community, whatever, the people who would have come. It wouldn't have just been like, Joe Bob, there was certain like priests and stuff like that came, or soldiers and stuff that came, that were part of this experiment. There was certain like leaders that came to teach us stuff. So there's teachings from way back then, and there's certain groups that their teachings have continued, and their philosophies have continued in these different cultures, and there's been different beings who have come, different souls who have come throughout history to help people to enlighten and to understand things in a broader perspective. And it's still, is very narrow, very controlled perspective. Even like right now, we're seeing what's going on, and the people are so brainwashed. It's just so trippy, like how they're so locked in. You can't. And I was thinking about this, like you can't tell them stuff. You can't say things. It's like like as soon as you start talking about certain things, I think all they hear is, you know what I mean? Like it's something off with the frequency. They can't comprehend it. It just sounds like noise. And they just want you to shut up. They just want you to stop. And I start thinking, more about the frequency thing. And I start thinking, I wonder how much of this stuff that is going on right now, if there is some kind of component with the frequency, what has these people so brainwashed, because it's weird. And it reminds me so much of that movie, They Live, when the people were just sitting in front of the TVs being programmed. And that guy kept coming on and trying to tell them what was going on. And you need to stop listening. They are programming you. And as soon as he would start talking, they would start going, oh, I've got a headache. Oh my God, I can't. And as soon as the TV had changed frequencies. So I kind of feel like that is something with what is going on with these people, that they're kind of caught in this frequency. This frequency stuff is really sticking out to me a lot lately. And I think that there's got to be something more to how they're so stuck. But in this Zoroastrian prophecy, that they had said that remember, like, these would be the aliens talking to the humans. They would put it all down in scrolls, and I think they sit there and etch it into blocks and stuff. And when they told them that there would be these prophecies that were going to happen, that this evil that was created, that we would be battling, which we see that going on, and that there would be certain times when it would be exposed to us. And he said in the late 30s, in 1936, it started being exposed. That was the first prophecy, and that's when Hitler started with all of that stuff and burning people and killing people, gassing, all the horrible stuff that went on. That was exposing the evil on the planet and caused a big shift in humanity. Then there was another one, and I don't think he said what the other date was, and I think he kind of skipped to currently. But I shared the link, don't forget. Currently what is going on, which I just was talking about, that's why I went on this long one a minute ago, about the different souls that were going to come here to battle this negativity, that there would be a whole bunch of souls. And that's in the book of 1 too. And when Ra talks about that, he calls them wanderers, and that they're coming for the harvest, because the harvest is the ascension. The harvest is that opportunity to shift to a higher dimension, which is all in how you look at the world. That's the shift. The shift is to become connected. It's to look away from the illusion, to see what's real. I mean, it's not like, this crazy thing. It's like so simple and so basic. But he was talking about that there would be all of these beings that would come for this. When I had heard about that anyways, a long time ago with the book of 1 and the wanderers, then that's when I was like, oh, that's what I am. Like, there's certain things you can read or know about when something is being explained. You know it in your own heart and soul. And so I knew that is what I was here for. I know what I'm here for. And it is to spread these messages about, ascension, about the connection, about our connection to everything that's out there, about aliens aren't just these. The alien invasion is going on right now, and we see it. It's at the border. That's the alien invasion. this other thing, these people are not, they are just multidimensional beings. They're just souls, just like us, and having different experiences. And all souls are always trying to help other souls. So this is a shift in humanity. This is a shift in consciousness. So all of these beings are all around us. Like people, if you go in and you watch some of these people who do a lot of clouds and sky and all that kind of videos and stuff, you'll see they're constantly showing like, oh, look, there, I think that's a mothership. They're showing clouds that look like there's something hiding inside of it. You know, and all of these beings are around us right now because they aren't something we need to fear. They're souls just like us who are here to help other souls, because that's what souls do. They are here to help us shift. And, you know, all of this, I don't know that much about Zoroastrianism or anything. You know, I haven't read about it or studied it. But every time I hear something being said about it, it always seems so right on to me. I definitely feel like it's something that I want to look into more. Like I might even look into it today, study more about it, because I find it quite interesting. But I just think that this is what this whole thing, I keep saying it and saying it, this whole thing that's going on, it's all about the exposure. It's just to show us, because this is the end. This is it. This is the shift. We're in the transition going into the new age. The old age is ending, and it is a much more dramatic ending than it has been in previous times. But then also, you know, think about like the dinosaurs, the ending of that. That was pretty dramatic. Like there's been other endings, but we don't even know how many there has been, because our information is so manipulated. And that is one thing too that he was talking about, is that our future. And I've said all along, you know, I always thought we would be the Jetsons by now. That's what I grew up, you know, we would be the Jetsons. And when it wasn't happening, and it kept being like, how are we so stuck? How were they able to come up with this stuff on cartoons, but we're still living like this? This doesn't make any sense. Well, so the whole thing is, you know, like they fought Tesla because he figured out how to do free energy. Well, he didn't figure it out. They told him. He listened. He was one of those people who was a receptor. He listened. He was a good listener. They gave him a lot of really powerful information, and he was shut down. They didn't want, because it was all for the people, and they want to manipulate us. And so David Wilcox was talking about, you know, that's why we're driving these cars that are basically little locomotives on wheels, and these treacherous roads they've created, because it's also that they can keep making money off of us. This is all for their profit, to have power they can charge us for, to have all these car parts, roads. You know, we got to have the newer car. We got to have, I mean, now they're starting to be like, okay, well, now you're going to pay us per mile. You're going to pay, you're going to have to put stuff in so we know you're not drinking and driving. All this stuff is like, what the? How people can just continue to walk into their control and being like, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay. No, it's not okay. You have to know in your heart they can't control you. This is breaking free of their system. Their system's being exposed so you can see what it is that you're breaking free from. This is the transition to the new age. The new age, the age of Aquarius, the golden age, heaven on earth. We're going through this. This is the tribulation. I don't know. And, you know, when I talk to religious people, you know, there's very specific things about tribulation and rapture and all of that stuff. So, you know, I'm calling the tribulation just all this turmoil of this transition from one age to the next. And it is, to me, this is a lot of tribulation. This is painful. This is horrible. It's horrible to watch. And to, you know, you always have got to be looking at yourself like, what am I supposed to be learning from this? Why am I being so, when I know what the outcome is, I know in my heart, why am I being so, you know, affected by, you know, if my kids aren't going to ascend and that lack of control, you know, because you can't cross over somebody's free will. I mean, we've seen a lot about it being manipulated and stuff like that. And that's part of, you know, where people who understand about energy, you know, you consider 'em, you know, witches or whatever, people who understand how to manipulate energy. You know, there's a certain God's law. You can't interfere with somebody else's free will. So people who put spells on people to make them do something, that's interfering with someone's free will. You can't necessarily do that unless it's a willing soul. You know, um, you have to have like that whole that they can control you. But it also depends on how strong this energy is. This, you know, but it's against God's law, no matter what, to interfere like that. Like anybody who does that kind of stuff, like you have a answer to a council, let's say. You know, you can be put in to reincarnation jail, you know, if you're going down and you are messing with stuff that is outside of what you're allowed to mess with. So, you know, there's laws over all of this stuff that have nothing to do with this three-dimensional laws that we are abiding by. Those laws, you can see, are infringing on our human rights. So we're breaking free from that. We're breaking free from this whole controlling system. The disease that it is being exposed to us so that we can understand what this world is and what it has been. But you have to connect to yourself. That's the mind, body, spirit that I talk all about. That's about the taking care of your vessel, your health, your thinking about what you put into your mouth, thinking about the energy you put out, thinking about how your energy affects other people. And not to the point where you are constantly, you know, trying to fix yourself for everybody else, but still to take responsibility for yourself. You know, you can't go around and change yourself to make everybody else happy. It's an endless job that is impossible. You have to focus on yourself and what makes you happy. But along in that part, you start to get, when you get connected, you start getting feelings about certain things and certain behaviors that you didn't have before. Like you may have been super, like I was, definitely. I was very gossipy, judgy. And it wasn't like I was trying to say like they're a rotten person or something. I was always trying to like understand like what is it, like they're doing this and this and this, like how is this working? You know, I was always trying to break it down. But it, you know, if you're my child and you're listening to me, you know, I'm trying to psychoanalyze the world and understand this existence. And, you know, I sound like this gossipy, bitchy, you know, constantly ridiculing everybody. And I'm just trying to understand this place. And so I was definitely, but as you become more enlightened, as you become more in touch with yourself, as you become more in touch with all that's out there, the more you cringe at yourself if you do that. It's like, ooh, I don't want to do that. And that's what, you know, I have talked about in other videos. If you're doing certain things and, you know, you get that kind of like, oh, God, shouldn't do that. You go with that. Go with that instinct. You know, those behaviors that give you that cringe, that's part of this development. That's part of this ascension of going into this higher state of consciousness, that you've got to take accountability for your own behavior, of how you're affecting others and what you're putting out there and what you're bringing in, because it's all about this balance. You know, we're going into a much more balanced time. We're leaving this time where things have been very out of balance, and it's going to go back into balance. Over time, it will go back out of balance. I mean, that is how it goes. This isn't just like, oh, you know, Jesus is coming to save us and we all went through our stuff and now we're going to go into this, you know, fairyland for eternity. It's just a period of time and in a changing of the ages, and souls, you know, can take the advantage of these these times. There's a lot of, just say for instance, like for me, like one thing I've talked about is I don't like to do things that are mean to somebody or something. I can't think of an exact thing to say right now, but because I end up feeling bad. It's kind of selfish because it's not like I'll be thinking about, how they feel. I'll just realize how I feel. And I feel shitty to be shitty. So I prefer not to feel shitty. So I will, do that. So is that kind of a selfish, self-centered thing? Because right now I'm kind of in this situation too, where you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but you can see that they are, imploding. And it's like you've got to, so you can't always just be nice. Nice, 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 nice. Sometimes you've got to find that part of yourself and, play the bad guy too. But when you are, like I'm always trying to not be the bad guy. I'm always trying to keep my own self pure or something so that I don't ever have to feel bad by being the bad guy, even though you are the bad guy. There's no way to get away from it. You are the bad guy to somebody, always. But there's also a difference of their perception and your, what you are doing or saying. So those things aren't always in alignment. Somebody can be perceiving you in one way, that's coming from within them. That whole thing of action and perception is very, very gray because there's so much based on the different people's vision or different people's lenses, how they view the world. And there was a point I was trying to make a minute ago about the, trying to play the good guy and staying in this protection of yourself, like, I don't want to feel bad, so I'm not going to, say this to this person or do this to this person, even though it's honest and it's authentic and it's real and it has the intention of wanting someone to heal, but you still get this, like, I want to protect myself. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to make somebody else feel bad and feel bad. I don't think that was exactly what I was trying to say, but that was, that's a component to the whole thing, and we have to, you can't have like these limitations. I'm constantly talking about these limitations that we put. That is all this structure, all of the things that we come up to as seeing as like a limitation, a choice. That is all, in this more pure world that we're headed into, that it won't have these same kind of limitations. I think we're going to move into a much more accepting and experiencing, and that's not, there's so many people that have their brains in such a weird kind of place in their, that there's so many people that just goes into a very dark place in their head. That's their own judgments and stuff. Our experience on earth as a soul should be a lot more limitless. We should be able to make a lot more choices in experience and feel the repercussions of what we experience ourselves. That's part of our own growth, our own learning, our own journey. Right now, we just have so much limitations and so much people accepting limitations, that, people right now are so willing to be controlled. And they spend so much time judging others and judging themselves. And, this is what we're breaking free from. And I think this has gone on kind of long, but I'll just be back in a minute.